The sound of laughter filled the waiting room. 33 sharply dressed candidates sat in leather chairs, their polished shoes gleaming like mirrors, their expensive perfumes thick in the air. And then, there was her, Amara. She walked in quietly, clutching a neatly folded resume with hands that trembled, not from fear but from exhaustion. Her shoes, the only pair she owned, bore torn edges at the front, their soles peeling as though they were begging for rest. Someone snickered. A young man in a navy blue suit leaned toward his neighbor and whispered loudly, "Looks like she walked here from the last decade." Another candidate covered her mouth to hide a smirk. The laughter spread like wildfire through the room. Amara heard every sound. Every chuckle pierced her chest, but she lifted her chin and sat down. She reminded herself why she was there, not to impress with clothes, not to charm with appearances, but to fight for the opportunity that could change her entire life. Just 2 weeks before, she had been working long shifts at a local diner, pouring coffee for strangers who barely looked her in the eye. She lived with her younger brother in a one-room apartment where the rain sometimes leaked through the ceiling. Since their parents had passed, she had been both sister and mother, provider and protector. When she saw the advertisement for the executive trainee program at one of the nation's top companies, she knew it was her only chance. The odds were impossible. Thousands applied, and only 34 were shortlisted for the final round. 33 of them had degrees from the best universities, glowing recommendations, and wardrobes that screamed success. Amara had none of that. What she did have was determination, grit, and a story of survival that no resume could fully capture. When her name was called, she entered the interview room. Her shoes squeaked faintly against the polished floor, and she imagined the laughter from outside still echoing behind her. Inside, the panel of interviewers sat stiffly, pens poised, eyes sharp. But at the center sat the CEO, Mr. Jonathan Hale, a man known for his piercing gaze and unexpected decisions. He noticed the room grow tense as Amara introduced herself. "Tell us about yourself," one of the interviewers asked flatly, already glancing at her resume. Amara took a breath. "I come from a background very different from most people in this room. I didn't have the chance to go to elite schools. I've worked in diners, in grocery stores, sometimes 2 jobs at once, to support my brother. But I believe leadership isn't only about what you've studied. It's about perseverance, resilience, and knowing how to turn challenges into strength. That's why I'm here." The room went silent. One interviewer scribbled something down, unimpressed. Another candidate outside peeked through the glass door, smirking. But the CEO leaned forward, intrigued. "Tell me about a moment you almost gave up," he said. Her voice wavered at first but grew steadier as she spoke. She told them about the night her brother fell ill, and she had to choose between buying his medicine or paying rent. She told them how she worked through tears and fatigue, how she carried trays of food while silently solving math problems to help her brother with homework later. And she admitted that yes, sometimes she wanted to give up, but every morning she looked at her brother's face and chose to fight again. The interview ended. She walked out with her head high, though the mocking eyes of the other candidates still followed her torn shoes. Hours passed. Names were called. One by one, the polished candidates were thanked and dismissed. Confusion grew as the numbers dwindled. Then finally, the assistant returned. With a single name. Amara Khan. Gasps echoed through the room. Some protested aloud, demanding how it was possible. "She doesn't even look the part," one man shouted. Amara's heart pounded as she stepped back into the boardroom. The CEO stood. He ignored the shocked murmurs and looked only at her. "Out of 34 people, only one showed me the qualities I cannot teach. Courage, integrity, resilience. Skills can be trained. Attitude cannot. Amara, welcome to the company." For a moment, the world blurred around her. Tears welled in her eyes, but she held them back. She extended her hand firmly, feeling the weight of every hardship melt into something new, hope. That night, she walked home still wearing the same torn shoes. But this time, the streets felt different. Every step felt like a promise to herself and her brother that better days were ahead. In the weeks that followed, she started her new journey. At first, whispers lingered in the office hallways, mocking the girl with the worn-out shoes. But soon, her work silenced them all. Her ideas brought innovation, her leadership inspired respect, and her story ignited something even greater, compassion. Months later, the the same candidates who had laughed at her sat in different offices, wondering how the girl they dismissed had become the rising star of the company. And Amara never threw away those shoes. She kept them on a shelf, a reminder of where she came from and how far she had gone. Whenever she faced new challenges, she looked at them and remembered the day the world laughed at her, but the CEO chose her anyway. Because sometimes, success isn't about the shine of your shoes. It's about the strength of the soul walking in them. Sparkle's inspiring message. No matter how people judge you by appearances, your worth is not measured by what you wear, but by who you are. True strength, resilience, and character will always speak louder than laughter.